With Karnataka witnessing a sharp increase in coronavirus cases, Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa has hinted at a complete lockdown in the state. The Chief Minister said it may just be inevitable to go in for a total lockdown. A decision will be taken in the next 2 to 3 days. This as Karnataka reported more than 49,000 fresh coronavirus cases in the past 24 hours. With this, the active cases have breached the 5 lakh mark. 328 people lost their lives in the past 24 hours. Incidentally, Bengaluru alone reported more than 23,000 fresh cases, taking the count of active cases to 3 lakh in Bengaluru alone. The Supreme Court, meanwhile, dismissed the centre's petition challenging the Karnataka High Court order that directed the centre to allocate 1,200 metric tons of oxygen to Karnataka.
The COVID cases in Karnataka seems to be rising, with crossing the 50,000 mark. Even after 1 week of lockdown being announced, the cases has not come down. The hospitals also are completely full with no beds available. The government is of an opinion that the reason that the cases are rising is that 10 to 15% who are tested positive are untraceable. Mostly their phones are switched off or they're not receiving their phone call. Now the Home Department has been roped in. The Civic Department has been roped in to make sure that all these positive patients will be traced, and these are the spreaders of this disease, is what the government said. The government is also looking at streamlining the bed system, because there was a bribe for bed scam that was unearthed just 2 days back, and now the CM has called for an audit, and the ministers have been given charge of making sure that the beds availability have been streamlined of remdesivir, oxygen and ICU as well. The Karnataka government on war footing is trying to build 4,000 ICU beds in Bengaluru city alone, so that beds are available. This will be done in 2 to 3 weeks is what we are told from the government, but the lockdown might be extended because the cases of number of cases in Karnataka as well as Bengaluru has not gone down. The average cases has remained 48,000 to 50,000 in the last 2 days. Nagarjun Dwarkanath for India Today.
And in what looked like a heroic move, BJP MP Tejasvi Surya's BBMP bed scam expose has now taken a communal term. Tejasvi Surya has slammed the opposition for petty politics, even as the opposition says that the needle of suspicion is pointed towards BJP MLA Satish Reddy for allegedly driving the scam.
I read the list and asked what was the basis for their appointment. Okay, if everybody's focus must be on this and not on the hundreds of people who are being killed every day because of non-availability of beds, hell with such people. These jokers who are trying to make political mileage out of them, I wish them the very best. I have more important work to focus on.
Enraged, Tejasvi Surya says jokers are at play. He won't be swayed from the real issue. The opposition Congress had cornered the BJP MP for singling out and accusing 17 people from the minority community, while reading out from a list of over 200 people working at the BBMP war room.
Mansoor Ali, Tahir Ali Khan, Sadiq Basha, Muhammad Zayed, Alsai Sair, Umair Khan, Salman Hurif, Zamir Pasha, Zabiullah Khan, Sayyid Hasnain, Sayyid Shahid.
Those 17 workers named by Tejasvi were instantly fired without evidence or any written reason or explanation. After searches, the police arrested 7 people, none of whom were named by Tejasvi Surya. Meanwhile, BBMP Additional Commissioner Sarfaraz Khan, whose name was tarnished in a series of WhatsApp messages peddling communal hate, filed a police complaint on the matter.
Surprising part is that I have got nothing to do with war room. My job is basically solid waste management and setting up of COVID care centers. And I don't know why suddenly my name was involved in war room. War rooms are generally set up by the zonal commissioners and then the zonal joint commissioners.
The opposition has now given a new twist to the scam. Citing local media reports, opposition has accused BJP MLA Satish Reddy and his men for allegedly pressurizing BBMP officers to bend the rules and block 80% of the beds in the city.
there was one more BJP MLA sitting there along with Tejasvi Surya's uncle, who is also an BJP MLA. This other MLA was Mr. Satish Reddy, who represents Bomanalli constituency, and now Kannada media has unearthed his team's role in the bed blocking scam that is happening in Bangalore. His team also has been caught on video misbehaving with the IAS officers. We demand a probe. We demand justice for the people who have died in Bangalore because of this scam.
Satish Reddy has shrugged off these allegations, calling them frivolous.
They want to divert this issue.
Okay.
And what Tejasvi as we are exposed there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only gave to the police and they caught the 2%.
Yes, sir.
And they are been arrested.
Okay.
Now, that culprits who are been arrested, they are telling about our PA or somebody means intentionally they want to make this issue a divert.
Karnataka is now in dire straits. With a daily count reaching nearly 50,000 mark, Karnataka is only next to Maharashtra in the list of worst-hit COVID states. Oxygen shortage and no ICU beds have defined scenes at many hospitals, pushing the Yediyurappa government on an overdrive. Tejasvi Surya's beds for bribe expose has further put the government in a tight spot. Bureau Report, India Today.
The Lancet Commission on COVID suggests measures on containing COVID-19 and says that this should go beyond the binary discussion on whether there should be a lockdown or not. There are a series of very specific measures that need to be taken. Now, this task force also underscores that fast-moving pandemic and the second wave requires very nimble response, and this has taken India by surprise.
No national lockdown, no insistence on RT-PCR tests during interstate travel, and ban on indoor gatherings of more than 10 people. These are some of the recommendations made by the country's task force to the Government of India as it battles the raging second wave. Amidst a growing clamour for a pause, the panel says a localized response is what is required. For this, categorization on low and medium risks and a third category of hotspots would help. Depending on how far they have used ICU capacity, the testing rates and the 7-day moving average in cases, and also the test positivity ratio.
We need to identify these areas and reduce the speed of transmission, especially in areas with high transmission, by doing local lockdowns or regional lockdowns. So therefore, having national lockdown will not be useful in reducing overall. For this, we have given the guidelines.
India's R rate shows one infected person is infecting 1.5 individuals. At this rate, each infected individual is infecting another 1.5 persons. The rate of increase in reported new cases averaged 6.8% for the month of April nationwide, while the rate of increase in reported new deaths averaged 8.3% over the same period. With over 3 million active cases, the healthcare system is under severe strain. It is imperative, therefore, to reduce the continuous rise in new cases. Given the exposure of the fault lines in the medical system, the panel has asked for ramping up supply to prepare for future peaks and to train medical staff, interns and residents and use them as a backup.
India Task Force Lancet Commission, we talk about upping the medical preparedness, for which we recommend training residents and medical students as backup. People can do simple things like taking care of measuring oxygen levels or pooling and optimizing resources, as well as expanding their role of these residents in offering supervised home care.
It has also asked for the need to ramp up genome sequencing to 5% of all tests and said there should be no restrictions on domestic travel, and also says RT-PCR tests should not be required during interstate travel.
We've organized these into 4 categories. The first is around saving lives and combating the illness by ramping up the medical system. The second set of measures is around minimizing transmission. The third set of measures are around containment of the epidemic by ramping up testing and contact tracing and isolation. And the last set of measures are around open communication, using data for better decision making.
Among other suggestions made, a complete ban on gatherings of more than 10 people, closure of indoor spaces, mandatory universal mask wearing in confined spaces and outdoors as well, and focus on cross-ventilation of indoor spaces. It talks about greater community involvement and also credible and regular projections of the trajectory of the pandemic. There is no one single response to the pandemic, is what the task force has told the government in its report. It can take the best performing countries by surprise. The pandemic is a fast-moving one and it took India by surprise. It says because the pandemic is a fast-moving one, the response to the same also should be rather dynamic. In New Delhi, Sneha Murdani for India Today.
Vaccination could well be the key to prevent or ensure that the third wave is not as big. But at a time when the government is trying to stem the surge of COVID cases, trying to get more and more people vaccinated, data indicates that the pace of vaccination has actually gone down. The vaccine against the virus is giving millions across the world a shot at life. But for many Indians, getting the next dose is proving to be extremely difficult. Coupled with this is the unfortunate, at least in some cases, the high rate of wastage.
There is shortage, and then there is wastage. This sums up the current status of India's vaccination drive. After touching a peak of 42 lakh doses administered on a single day on April the 2nd, the number is on a steady decline. And now it's been averaging 18 lakh doses daily. And this is really hurting India's fight against COVID. Mumbai's Bandra Kurla complex Jumbo Vaccination Centre only had a few hundred doses to begin with. Despite the long wait, people are coming out in huge numbers to get themselves vaccinated.
Sir, how long have you been waiting?
1 hour.
And how long it will take?
Still, I think it will take 3 hours.
3 more?
Yeah.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah. No option, no other option.
Well, that's a Mumbaiker speaking about the drive-in vaccination center which has been done right here at the Kohinoor Center in Dadar area of Mumbai. And this particular drive-in, as you can see, it's on the arterial road of Mumbai, wherein these vehicles have been queued up by the traffic police. They try to ensure that there is no traffic. And the people keep waiting here in these queues which lead up to the vaccination center.
For the 18 to 44 age group category individuals, the situation isn't too promising in and around Delhi. Neither at government-run centres.
You cannot find any schedule to get vaccinated if you are between 18 to 44. So there are no slots available. There are various CHCs here, PHCs here, but none of them are available. Also in private hospitals, I have seen in Max, they are charging 900 for a vaccine, for a shot. So yeah, that's not, vaccine is not available for 18 to 44. No, not at all.
Nor at private hospitals.
I'm not sure, like we are calling the private hospital also, but we are not getting any response. They said they don't have any stock right now. So whenever the stock will come, they'll inform us. So we are still waiting.
For those who get lucky and get a chance to book a slot.
I have registered on the CoWIN app, but the problem is that I got to know that they don't have syringe over here. So that is the issue. I came here, the appointment date was for today, but as I am here, so they are telling that they don't have syringe.
Many blame the wastage for the jab crunch in several states. The maximum wastage of vaccines have been found in Tamil Nadu, Assam, Manipur and Haryana among major states, according to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. A little more than 16 crore people have been partially vaccinated since the country's vaccination program began on January the 16th this year. If the pace of vaccination continues the way it's been, it would take nearly 3 years to cover the entire country. With Vidya and Mustafa Sheikh in Mumbai and Abhishek in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, several patients and their relatives have been unable to find a place in hospitals. They've been running helter-skelter. Then came the information that they can perhaps set up an ICU at home. More and more people are now treating COVID-19 patients at home with the help of what many describe is a mini ICU.
The country is grappling through the second deadly wave of the pandemic. Oxygen crisis, lack of ICU beds plagues the national capital. Do you know home is where the healing can happen when the patient is past the acute stage but requires intensive care? Healing and recovery is possible without the threat of hospital-acquired infections.
Home ICU is something where you have all the infrastructure, trained nursing ICU staff with trained GDAs and a doctor managing it. So for example, it will have an ICU bed, it will have an oxygen concentrator, it will have a suction machine, it will have a DVT pump, it will have mattresses, syringe pumps, whatever is required to manage the patient, right? All paraphernalia as you can see in the video, right? But there has to be a doctor who's remotely managing it. Any patient who needs to be physically seen by a doctor is not a candidate for home ICU.
Home ICU can get you the most benefits of a hospital ICU at your doorstep. From ventilators to DVT pumps, infusion pumps, equipment that the supervising doctor seems appropriate, and home visit reports as well. A patient gets e-monitored and has regular doctor visits scheduled at home along with nursing assistants that are provided.
During COVID times, we have treated about 10 lakh patients till now. Most of the patients have been treated in home remote management. We've worked with the Delhi government, the Punjab government, the Karnataka government to do that. 85% of the patients don't require anything else. So people should not get panicky and because most of us will get well at home itself.
An ICU at home costs you half of what you'd otherwise pay for at a hospital. An ICU at home can range from 3,000 to 7,000 rupees a day. A hospital ICU, on the other hand, will cost you a whopping 25,000 to 50,000 rupees a day. In New Delhi, Jayati Narula for India Today.
We now bring you our special segment, COVID Heroes. Let's take a look at stories of hope in this pandemic, which actually instill a sense of optimism in extremely difficult times. For example, as India struggles under the second COVID wave, auto rickshaws have become the latest symbol of hope in Delhi, doubling up as ambulances, and they've helped in containing the collapsing healthcare system. Equipped with hand sanitizers, face masks, oxygen cylinders, they provide the much needed assistance when the ambulance is not available.
कोविड के टाइम पे हर किसी को पैसों की प्रॉब्लम है, जैसे मेरे को भी थी, तो इन्होंने कोई चार्जेस नहीं लिया मेरे से और फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट में इजीली मुझे घर ड्रॉप कर दिया। काफ़ी अच्छा वे ऑफ टॉकिंग था ड्राइवर का, जो हमारे साथ पोलाइटली वे ऑफ टॉकिंग था जिनका, जो हमें इजीली हमारे को घर ड्रॉप कर दिया।
जो कोरोना बीमारी फैला हुआ है, इसमें पब्लिक की सेवा के लिए, चाहे किसी को आना जाना हो, घर से आना जाना हो, या किसी कोई पेशेंट हो या किसी को एम्बुलेंस ना मिले, या कोई किसी का पेशेंट आया हो हॉस्पिटल से घर जाने की सुविधा ना मिले, तो उसकी सेवा के लिए हम ये गाड़ी चला रहे हैं। डर तो लगता ही है, लेकिन फिर भी अगर सबके बच्चे घर पर बैठेंगे तो